Hare Krishna. Welcome for today's class, and we will start with today's session. So before we start, let's have today's our regular prayers. Maybe I'll just stop sharing by then. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि श्री गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Thanks a lot for your consistency. I'll just give a very brief preview of the previous chapter. So last week we covered the chapter 14, which is Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. That is the three modes of material nature. So what we discussed is about in depth about various modes of the material nature, and it is very much important to understand them because to come out of these modes, it takes effort. It doesn't happen automatically. So if you take a look at the initial part, so Krishna actually told that this is one of the very interesting section because it's the best of the knowledge. And then he explained about how this material modes, material nature itself gets created. He explained about Brahman, then Pradhana, and then material nature, how it's get created. Specifically, when it comes to this particular world, there are three different varieties of this nature. And he also started explaining about three modes, that is goodness, passion, and ignorance. And he specifically asked that how is it how do we migrate from one nature to another, like there are various color combinations from three RGB different red, green, blue colors. We can create so many colors. So all these three basic modes, goodness, passion, ignorance, they create all kinds of human nature, or whatever nature you can see in this world. So Krishna also explained in depth about qualities of this specific nature, about the sattva mode of goodness, that it's very illuminating. Automatically you are free from all the sins because you know what is what. Knowledge is very intact. Happiness and everything is there in that mode. The mode of passion is very aggressive, and one wants to achieve a lot of things with a lot of intense endeavor and so many uncontrollable desires one wants to satisfy. Most of the time it ends in a miserable result because we are not the controllers and desires are unlimited. So that was about the rajas, the mode of passion. And tamas, the mode of ignorance, is like it destroys the existence. So it wastes a lot of time, lot of resources. It just person is in status quo. It doesn't want to change, doesn't want to come out of comfort zone at all. That's a mode of tamas. That is the ignorance mode. We also discussed their utility, and specifically we also discussed how the results and reactions of these different modes they act. So we discussed about what happens in passion, what kind of result we get, what kind of result we get from ignorance. So from the goodness we get, result is always pure, and action done in passion results into misery. From goodness we get real knowledge, from passion we get a lot of greed, and ignorance just results in madness. Then we also discussed about the role of Paramatma. So how he is actually saying that one who is able, with the help of Paramatma, if he can cross over these modes, it helps us to get happiness even in this life, in while even we are embodied. So we discussed about there are different qualities which are required to transcend these three modes. And then we discussed about how goodness, specifically mode of goodness, it's how it helps us to illuminate from within and achieve the constitutional position of permanent ultimate happiness. So while in concluding slide, we also discussed about the death and destination of different modes. So goodness, of course, it goes upper higher planets. Passion stays on the struggling earthly planets, and ignorance goes down to hellish or animal kingdom. And we also discuss their actions and result. So we discussed this three modes of material nature in depth, but there is and this particular modes of nature, we are actually going to dwell little more deep in this particular section of chapter 15. And this chapter 15 is actually entitled as Purushottam Yoga. I hope my slides are visible to everyone. Just say thumbs up or yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so this chapter is actually entitled as Purushottam Yoga, Yoga of Supreme Person. So before this chapter, we saw so many versions of yoga: the Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, uh, Bhakti Yoga. So this yoga means actually connection. So through Karma Yoga, how we connect to the Lord. Then means how we get detached from the work, and how we offer our work to the Lord, how we get purified and purify our existence, all that covered under the Karma Yoga. In Jnana Yoga, how we understand the situation, what is our role, and specifically understanding that we are not the controller, we are not the doer, then more knowledge about how the Lord is involved. So all that comes in the Jnana Yoga. Dhyana Yoga is about, in chapter 8, you can see a lot of meditative practices, very austere practices. And what is most practical in this particular age, that is chanting Hare Krishna. We discussed all that as a part of Dhyana Yoga. Then we discussed about Bhakti Yoga specifically, where it how to develop the loving intentions towards the Lord. And specifically, Arjuna was so much fan of Lord that he wanted to see his full-fledged extension in this material world, the snapshot he wanted to see. So the 11th chapter, universal form of the Lord, that's what Krishna displayed to him. So all these various chapters, they explain how we can connect to the Lord. This chapter is very interesting because it explains the yoga of the Supreme Person, how Lord is connected to us. So this chapter actually explains the reciprocation of Lord towards us. So at the start of this chapter itself, there is a very, very, very interesting concept of inverted banyan tree, as you can see on the right side. So Krishna says that this imperishable inverted banyan tree. Now, what it is going to explain is actually very complex subject matter, but we'll try to understand in very few minutes. What you see right side is actually our material existence from many, many, many lifetimes, literally billions and trillions of lifetimes which we have been spending here. So, how Krishna describes this upside down banyan tree, primarily because you can relate that to the concept of mirror. So, the actual banyan tree, or the banyan tree of our consciousness, our services, our desires, our object of attraction, everything is originally there in the spiritual world. But when it is reflected in our own selfish desires, the same spiritual services, when they are reflected in our own selfish desires in the material world, how they are spread here and there. That's what Lord is explaining. So let's look at the second verse here. So Lord actually explains the branches of this tree, they extend downwards and upward. Why is the banyan tree? I think most of you have seen the banyan tree. So if you have one banyan tree, it branches goes in the, and they again become roots, and more trees comes out of that. So these branches are actually considered three modes of material nature. The more we are uh, going from goodness, passion, ignorance, playing with different combinations, all these branches take us from one life to another. Now the twigs are considered to be object of senses. So twigs means from where we get other leaves and some minor branches. So they are object of senses. They are actually originating or continuing our material existence in this way. And finally, Krishna tells very interestingly, the roots which are spreading here and there, they are fruitive actions of our society. Or in our case, it's our own existence, our own fruitive actions. So this upside down tree, you can imagine that we had so many different lives. Each life may be represented by one particular mode of, one particular combination of mode of nature. Then the leaves are the Vedic hymns, the twigs are our object of senses, then the roots are fruitive actions, and the trees madly spread here and there. So with this analogy, what we understand, whatever we are facing day to day in our daily life. Sometimes happiness, sometimes distress, sometimes very challenging situations, sometimes very miserable situations. But whatever it is, all these different types of fruits, they are our own karma at some other point of time. They are all interconnected madly. And if we try to analyze any situation, why is this happening with me? Why is it happening only with me? Why is it my near and dears are having so much of problem? What they did in the past, what kind of desires they had in the past. If you try to analyze this material banyan tree, which is spread everywhere, it gets much more complex. I mean, sometimes its causes are immediate, we can still see, but if they are spread across lifetimes, it just becomes too complex. So what Krishna actually recommends the in the last verse here, last section here is, no one can understand where it starts and ends and where is the foundation, because we cannot pinpoint, okay, in this particular lifetime or even in this life at this particular moment I had this desire, and then I worked in that particular direction, I had these many options, but I chose this thing and ended up here. That's why I'm in this position. Nobody can actually understand or pinpoint every root cause of our situation in life. But what Krishna is saying that, forget this analysis. There is, don't waste your time trying to understand the blame game of why am I landed and who whether somebody else put myself or I'm myself I put my in this situation. With determination, one must cut down this strongly rooted tree with the weapon of detachment. So Krishna is saying our purpose of life is not to analyze this tree or grow this tree or take care of this tree or caress this tree. No, we are not here to indulge into any kind of sense object or achieve any fruitive results or whatever. Krishna is saying use the weapon of detachment and get rid of this tree. So more we understand, okay, where are the roots? What is it causing my attachment to this material world? Contemplate that, find out what can be the solution for it. Use the weapon of detachment. If we no more desire for any results of fruitive actions, no more desire to enjoy the material objects of senses, then automatically our existence in this world, in this material world, miserable existence will definitely come to an end. And this is not very monistic philosophy or impersonal philosophy. It actually leads to very interesting section. So let's understand. So we saw two parts here. One is about the spiritual world and one is about the material world. And we are going to understand how Lord is connected to both of us, both of these things. So very first thing, Krishna starts explaining spiritual world in 15:6. He tells that this is not illuminated by any kind of sun, moon, or fire, or electricity, or gas, or whatever. He's saying that actually the spiritual world has so many interesting descriptions. This material world looks like literally garbage can. Whatever you may imagine, the best of the things in this material world or best of the beauty in the material world is like a cockroach compared to actually what is there in the spiritual world. So Lord's own abode has so many facilities. It is said that it is self-illuminated. So many living entities already, pure living entities are already staying there. So many heart-melting reciprocations Lord has with his own devotees. It is so captivating. The detailed description is there in the scriptures, particularly in Bhagavatam and CC, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this, or even in Bhagavad Gita also. So Lord says that this abode of Him, the supreme abode, the spiritual world, is absolutely illuminated, full of Sat Chit Ananda, eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. Whoever managed to reach to that spiritual world, he has no desire to return back to this material world. So getting rid of material world and going merging into Brahman or going into monism, that is not the goal. The goal is to get rid of this material world so that we can go back to our constitutional position to serve Lord. That's the purpose. And what is the process? That it comes in the 18.66, that Sarvadharman Parityaja Mamikam Sharanam Vraja. Those who understand how to surrender unto the Supreme Person, they only those souls can attend to this spiritual kingdom. This surrendering process is, we'll discuss little more in depth as a latter part of this chapter. But as I mentioned, only fortunate souls, they get attracted to these descriptions, the reciprocations and various rasas between Lord and his devotees. Without having this knowledge or without having this attraction, person develops all different kinds of attraction with Twitter and Instagram and then different social media or different news or cricket or whatever other attraction one may find in the material world. But the moment one gets to know what is constantly happening in the spiritual world, through meditation, through scriptural reading, through hearing from realized saintly persons, he has no more attraction to the material world. So process of detaching from material world is simultaneous with process of getting attached to the spiritual world. And Krishna then comes down to the explanation of this our inverted banyan tree, how we are roaming around across different times and spaces and species. So Krishna starts explaining that particular part in verse 7 onwards. So Krishna says that all the souls in this conditioned world, they are my eternal fragmental parts. So it's very interesting term. First, eternal part, fragmental part, and we were part of the Lord. That means we are separate from the Lord eternally, but still we have the same constitution of Satchidananda, like same like a Lord. But although we are spiritual sparks, we are suffering in this material world. Why? Because of these six senses which are which are grouped around the mind. So all the set of six senses. What is the senses? Senses means the uh, touching, seeing, smelling, all these different kind of capabilities. Sense objects, the gross or subtle sense object, jnanendriya, karmendriya, all of them. So all these different sense objects and mind, what happens to them? Krishna is saying that when we change one body to another, like the air carries aroma, similarly, when we change one body to another, our different conceptions are carried life after life. So in one of the previous section, we discussed how exactly the match happens when we leave the body, depending on our thoughts at the time of death, depending on kind of inclinations or attractions we have developed over period of our life. All that decides already our destination, what kind of spaces we are going to land to, what kind of body we are going to land to, and then match up our subtle body and the um, target body. Everything has been done, and then we get the next body. But the thing is, Krishna is saying when we get the new body, it may not be exactly human body. It could be animal body, aquatic bodies, birds, trees, even demigods, demons, rakshasas, whatever it might be. In every different type of body, 84 lakh species, we get different combinations of ear, eye, tongue, nose, sense of touch. They are all grouped around the mind. And then in that particular, once we get that body, then we just keep on enjoying some specific set of sense object. Sense object you connect to that twig of the banyan tree. So from one body to another, then this body to another, we have been actually experiencing whatever we see around. Literally, we have spent more than trillion lives in this particular universe, and we have gone through all the spaces what we see around. All those impressions we already have in our mind. But who can see this vision? So Krishna says that one whose eyes are trained in knowledge. So it's not that we get some special spectacle or special 3D goggles or something to see it. We have to develop this spiritual vision. This vision, like for example, Arjuna got this vision, special spiritual vision to see the universal form of the Lord. So this particular vision, that what am I actually enjoying and what kind of body I'm going to land it to. It needs the knowledge, and only person who has realized what kind of material modes I'm going through, and then what kind of sense objects I'm getting attracted to, what kind of desires I'm developing, and then what kind of body I'm going to land it to, or myself or even for others. Only person who had trained their eyes in knowledge, they can very easily see. So, but people who are not developed, okay, so let's look at the development process. So this is the importance of developing spiritual vision, ABC. What is ABC? Association, books, and chanting. So association means association of saintly people. By serving them, by hearing from them, from the self-realized souls, they can very easily disclose to us the principles which otherwise take years of and decades of experience from our own life. So serving such a great souls is actually a lot of shortcuts to understand these concepts. Of course, then we also have to the saintly soul is not may not be available all the time, but scriptures are available. We should be able to carve out some time from our daily lives, understand, go through this principle, contemplate what part of the scriptures is connecting it to my daily life, what principles I can apply to my daily life. With this scriptural contemplation as well, like the sessions we are having, or whenever you discuss such subject matter with somebody else, we will develop that vision. And of course, via meditative chanting means when we are in prayerful mood, requesting Lord, oh Lord, please purify my heart, help me to get rid of all the distraction and anarthas. Let me engage in your service. When we have that contemplative mood, Lord also can reveal from within and he can bestow this vision. But those who are not putting efforts to develop this spiritual vision, their mind is not developed. And unfortunately, they cannot see what is happening. And then they continue their material existence, trying to enjoy different types of sense objects, and then landing up in different bodies and continuing their material existence. So explaining about these two parts, what we discussed in last two slides is about how so after spiritual world, sorry, how we are changing bodies one after another, and specifically how to develop the vision that what kind of body we are going to land to. So understanding, developing the vision to see the inverted banyan tree in this particular material universe. Then Krishna actually starts explaining very interesting part, and this is what is connected to today's chapter, the yoga of Supreme Person, how Lord is connected to this world. Krishna says that literally everything, I mean, we already have gone through the chapter 9, chapter 10, 11, where Krishna says that how he is taste of water, how is fragrance of earth, and so many other things. So Krishna again explains very clearly, particularly let's say from macrocosmic perspective, that the splendor of sun, which is actually dissipating darkness of the whole world, it comes from him. The splendor of moon, splendor of fire, anything, the very fact that we are able to visualize something. Right now there are electricity in my house, but very fact that I'm able to see something, that power, the vision, the facility itself is granted by Lord. So on macro level, every single living entity across the universe is able to see because Lord has empowered sun and moon. And then Lord also says that I enter into each planet and by my energies they stay in orbit. We hear so many road accidents and this and that, which are designed by men and how they ended up. But you look at the way Lord has designed this whole planetary system. We hardly, or what hardly, I haven't seen any news where some planets are colliding and something is happening. It might be there in astronomy or some other sciences. But honestly speaking, as far as our planet Earth is considered, if that would have been little bit nearer to sun, all of us would have been like will not be able to, even everything would have been burnt to ashes, honestly, our existence. Or little bit away, things would have been in minus degree and we cannot again sustain. So whatever is happening in life, just perfect, right from the orbit of planet to situations in our life to people we meet, everything is just perfect what we need. So let's look at this again, how Lord is involved in on macroscopic level is about design, the whole design. And by the way, this entire third canto of Bhagavatam, it explains the whole universe, Vedic cosmos, how the different planets, the middle planetary system, lower planetary system, how they are revolving, Dhruva planet, their connection, gravitational waves, black holes, everything is there in that scriptures. Then the more of all this is not just randomly designed from aesthetic perspective. Everything is designed as per the need of the living entities who are staying on these various planets. And most importantly, not just need, each and every living entity can achieve the purpose of their existence. What is the purpose of existence? To get complete rid of this various modes of nature desires and go back to the spiritual world. So this whole world, from cosmic perspective, it is designed for that exact purpose. So our day-to-day needs are also taken care, plus our eternal purpose is also taken care. That's how interestingly this world has been designed. Now let's look at the macroscopic perspective. Lord says that I'm the fire of digestion. So macroscopic, when I consider this body, there are two things. One is my subtle requirement on mind level, and another is gross requirement. To sustain the body, of course, the breathing and food, these are important things. And Lord, what he is saying, that I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities. He joins with the air of life, which is the breathing process, outgoing, incoming, everything, and that helps to digest all different four kinds of foodstuffs. So right from childhood, I mean, we might be eating different food or different substances, but none of have any idea how exactly this is getting converted to energy. We might do some more scientific things, that okay, these atoms are here and the liver is doing this work and some other organ doing that work. But Lord has designed this whole system. The body inside is actually designed by Him, and not just designed to run this machine also. Lord is saying that I am the fire of digestion. So even if you put all the combination, if that subtle element of fire is not there, person is not will not be able to digest the things, even if he may have everything else. So from gross perspective, Lord is completely taking care of that. And in 1550, Sarvasya Chaham Rudhi Sannivishto Matta Smrutir Jnanam Apahanam Cha. So Lord says this particular verse, that Sarvasya Chaham Rudhi Sannivishto, I am seated in everyone's heart as a Paramatma to guide them from within. And from Paramatma only what we can remember, how much we can remember, what we should forget, what knowledge we can recollect. Everything actually flows from the Paramatma. And Lord is specifically saying that He is guiding us from within and as well as from without. What is the without source of knowledge is Vedic scriptures. So Lord says that He is the compiler of the Vedas. Um, Matta Smrutirgyanam Apavanam cha Vedesha Sarvar Aham Eva Vedyo Vedanta Krut Veda Videva Chaham. So Lord says that He is the compiler of the Vedantas and He is the knower of Vedas. So what is known to be from Vedas is all about the Lord's existence and how He has been reciprocating with us. So from within and without, Lord is only guiding to us. In third canto of Bhagavatam, there is very interesting chapter of the prayers of the unborn child. And these are the prayers which all of us actually have sang at some point of time while in the every mother's womb. So what are those prayers? The prayers are actually full of gratitude, that, oh Lord, I have been so neglectful towards you. I have been developing attraction towards this material world. But so mercifully, you have been arranging so many things in my life and giving me chance again and again to turn towards you. So for this gross arrangement, this virtue of gratitude is very important. And since Lord is letting us know that we should not, oh, I'm forgetting certain things, or I need to remember certain things. Of course we can try it out and mind mapping techniques and this and that, but end of the day we should know it is Paramatma who is actually guiding us from within. He is navigating, course correcting our life. So very subtle and important point is, before doing anything, if you can seek guidance from the Lord, even though I know how to do it, I know how to achieve the results, and later on I want to have full glorification for my efforts. If we can somehow turn towards the Lord, the end result will be much beyond our expectations. So, first thing, we'll be detached, knowing that we are not the doer. Even if we get the results, we will be in a capable condition to offer that result towards the Lord. So it's very important that we turn towards the Lord, we express gratitude, and we seek guidance from the Lord. And now we are coming to the end of this chapter. This is a very small chapter, but super interesting chapter. And Lord, in these last three verses, He expresses very interesting thing. Because in Gita, if you look at actual verses, Krishna says that, recommends Arjuna, please surrender to that Supreme Lord, or please surrender to the Paramatma in your heart, or you meditate on that Paramatma, or you go and surrender. So, Lord, although He was Krishna, He was speaking this Bhagavad Gita, very rarely He actually reveals His own direct positions, that He is the Supreme Lord. So, this particular section, 15 chapter, last three verses, let's go through them. Lord is saying two things. He is a transcendental. Transcendental means nothing of these material qualities, three modes of material nature cannot touch the Lord. He is beyond Kshara and Akshara. Kshara means fallible, Akshara means infallible. He is beyond both the things. And because he's the greatest in both the worlds, both in the within the spiritual world as well as in the material world. So in both the worlds, he is greatest. He's celebrated as the greatest in both this world. And in the Vedas, he is the one who is celebrated as that supreme person. So Krishna is actually revealing his supreme position directly in this particular verse. um, why I call this as a humility of God is, if I mean God could have, Krishna could have told everything. I had done this, I had done that, I am so there are so many I, but Krishna is actually saying that supreme person, that Paramatma, that basis of Brahman, everything. And here only very few places is revealing he is actually the root of everything. He is the so he's that supreme person. And in next verse, Krishna says that whoever knows me as the supreme personality of Godhead without doubting, he's the knower of everything. So he's saying here is that one who has absolute faith without doubt, who knows Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, he definitely engages himself in pure devotional service. So knowing the Lord, establishing the relationship, and wanting to enjoy in that relationship, wanting to serve the Lord in our pure constitutional position back in the spiritual world, that is the perfection. So it's very important that we understand whom we are worshipping. It's not the messenger or the son or the any other relatives of the God. It's God, directly Krishna himself. And with him we can have a relationship. With him we can have so many other interactions. And this is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures, which Krishna has disclosed to Arjuna. And Krishna says that whoever understands this will become wise, and his endeavors will know perfection. Because we might endeavor so many things in our life, we may get, we may not get. But if we know the actual purpose of life, then the whole direction of our endeavors will be very much clear. It's like I'm going somewhere, but if I'm just driving my car, not knowing which road leads where, and every time I'm stopping and asking people, will not work. If I have GPS, I know from start to end which all turns I need to take and how to reach my destination. I can drive much faster and reach it. So similarly, perfection of any kind of endeavors is possible when we know the final destination. So Krishna is saying one who knows Krishna is how he has been involved in our life, how he has been helping us from gross and subtle level. If we can turn to him, we can take his guidance. With the cooperation between the Lord and the living entity, it is definitely possible that we achieve the purpose of our life, that is going back to the spiritual world. So thank you so much for your attention. And today's session was a bit short, and that's a little more time for any kind of questions and answers. So we have 7 minutes to go. I can go do the revision, but I would like to ask if you have any specific questions, please feel free to ask on any topic, or even from the previous chapters also. Anyway, otherwise, if you have something, you can stop me and ask me in between also, no worries. So what we discussed is about Purushottam Yoga is actually yoga of a supreme person, how Krishna is connected. So all this way, there are different yogas where we learn how we can connect to the Lord. Here Krishna is explaining how he is involved in our life. So he starts explaining specifically our entire existence in the material world in the form of this inverted banyan tree. He explains the object of senses are like the twigs, the branches are like modes of material nature, and then fruitive actions are like roots, and they are spread everywhere across lifetime. So many things we cannot find out what is connected to what and what is the root of what, because these branches and roots of banyan tree get messed up like mad. And Krishna is saying, don't start analyzing. Don't try to waste your time in analyzing. Use the weapon of detachment. I don't want to enjoy anything of this material world. Use the detachment weapon and get rid of this banyan tree. Then Krishna says in the next slide, the importance of knowing this spiritual world, because that's how we will develop the attraction. More we hear from them, from the realized souls, more we read about them, more we understand this heart melting reciprocations of the Lord, we will develop the attraction to go back to the spiritual world. That will be driving force for us to take up our spiritual life more seriously. Then Krishna explains how these living entities, because of their mind and the senses which are grouped around that mind, so effectively it's just a subtle desires of every living entity. Because of his own bag of karma, his own consciousness at the time of death, his own subtle mind, he keeps on transmigrating from one body to another till the time he doesn't realize that how he has been entangled life after life. So only ones whose eyes are trained in knowledge, by serving self-realized saints, by contemplating on the teaching of scriptures, and doing a practical meditative chanting, such people, they have the vision of truth and they can understand where the life is going, what to do, what not to do, and how to take decisions on what basis. Then Krishna starts explaining how he has involved in this particular world through macrocosmic explanation in the next slide, microscopic explanation. So macroscopic, he explains about how the sun, moon, and all the splendor, all the planets who are orbiting, whatever we see in the sky, looking at night, everything is Krishna has put into motion so perfectly that our age-old sages, they can write the whole science of astronomy, astrology based on these various planets and their positions in the night. So everything is designed so perfectly. All the planets are also designed as per the need of the specific living entities who are living there. And while living there, he has also taken care that purpose of life can be achieved while living in those particular planets. So that much of in-depth design Krishna has done for different planetary level. And of course, when he goes to microscopic level, to the bacteria, whatever the fire bacteria, digestion bacteria, whatever is happening in our life, whole our gross existence is sustained with the breathing and the fire of digestion, what we eat. So Krishna is actually involved. So right from conversion of oxygen to the red blood or all the digestion fire, everything is happening with the sanction of the Lord. And then we understand that how Lord on the subtle level also he is involved. He is sitting there as a Paramatma in everyone's heart. He is giving them remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness, all these things. So he is helping us from within and from without. Lord has written so many, he has made us accessible so many nice Vedic scriptures. He has compiled them, and if we can read them, Lord actually within and without guides us how to progress in our life. We have to develop this virtue of gratitude and habit to take the guidance from the Lord. And finally, Krishna, after explaining everything, he at very one of the rare verses, Krishna says he is directly, he says he's a supreme position. There is no one higher than him because he is the greatest in the both material as well as spiritual world. He is a transcendental beyond the modes of material nature. Goodness, passion, ignorance don't touch him. So he is that supreme person. And one who understands this knowledge thoroughly, he develops attraction towards the Lord. He wants to purify his existence and engage in proper service. So these are the important parts when somebody understands the depth of spiritual knowledge. This is the most confidential part, and one who understands will become wise, and of course he'll be navigated by Lord himself to know, to achieve the perfection. All the endeavors will lead to the perfection for such a person. So thank you so much for your focus and consistency, of course. And Krishna willing, we'll see you in the next session. Let's chant our final Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you so much, and see you in the next most super interesting chapter of divine and demoniac nature. There are so many nice analogies and examples are there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.